Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Lost your no sound.
Well,
There we go.
Good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 3 and episode number 323, I'm gonna guess here, of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Cryo Media Network. Yeah. Today, recording day is February 29th, 2024. Sorry, that's episode 328 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. I knew that was wrong for some reason. I just couldn't figure out how it was wrong. Today, recording day is Thursday, February 29th. So this is our special leap year edition. And happy birthday to you, Kit Mohan.
Oh, is it Mohan's
Actual
birthday? That's right. Yeah,
birthday.
yeah.
Yes, it is. Hope it's as fabulous as you and the family are. At least
So,
as fabulous as you and the family
How
are.
old is Mohan today? 20, 25?
7, maybe?
7, that's what I meant. Yeah, 7 or 8.
7 or 8. Big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Peppermaster, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. As you can all hear, with me as always is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today, sir?
You know, I think, Mr. Beaver, that my mental health is pretty good. I'm feeling almost rested. Almost. I had a couple of long days at work, and today will be no exception, but I think I'll be able to get a good night's sleep tonight. That's my plan anyway. And yeah, hopefully I'll be well rested by tomorrow. I have to go into the office tomorrow afternoon on a Friday, which is rare for me for a Friday setup meeting
Okay.
for a thing that's happening on the weekend. I'm not working on the weekend. So
Everybody's working for the weekend.
for the weekend, not on the weekend.
I know. I was going to switch it up, and then I decided not to.
Thank you. Hey, Frank, how you doing? He's watching live this morning.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, nice to see you, Frank. Kid Frank. Good morning, Kit Cassie, Kit Hugh, Kit Mohan. There you go. I'm glad you were here for it. Kit Elaine, Kit Toronto, Dan. Let's see who else do we have. Oh, Kit Marie Puck. I believe that's a new name for us. But if not, welcome back. And if you're a new name, well, welcome. Pull up a log and make yourself comfortable. Hope you like it here. Good morning, Kit Vim, Kit Hugh, Kit Linda M, Kit Jen. Hello, my dear. Lovely to see you. Kit James, nice to see you here this morning. Who else do we have with us? Going down the list here. Kit Cassie, hello. And thank you, by the way. Cassie sent me a little something yesterday, which was very nice. Yes, Kits, Cubs, I do look and sound better. I am in a better mood. Yesterday, I thought was going to be a very tough day, but friends came through.
Awesome. That's good.
So lots of phone calls. I even had a friend take me out yesterday morning, and I had chocolate cake for breakfast.
Well, Think about it.
I did.
What's in chocolate cake? Eggs. Eggs are good for you. Flour's good for you. You know.
So yes, my friend Aaron came by and we had a chinwag session, and we went to a coffee shop, and so yes, I had a cake and tea for breakfast, and then a couple of other people called yesterday, and everybody kept me busy enough just chatting and socializing that the day went by very quickly. And to be totally honest, other than when I was chatting to people about what stuff happened, I didn't have really much time to think about everything. And over the course of the afternoon, I also stopped somewhere and bought a present for my sweetie. And it's amazing how much buying a present for someone you love will lift your spirits.
Indeed.
So, what I thought yesterday was going to be a very hard and long and tough day turned out to be a day when I can't say I learned because I knew it, but I was very, very, very keenly reminded in the most beautiful way possible that I really do have the best friends. So, thanks, everyone. Meant a lot. Meant a lot.
Survived
Yes.
the storm.
I survived the storm. Listen, I'm still sad, and
No, I meant the actual storm, not the.
Oh, the actual storm. Yes, yeah, survived it pretty well, actually. But yeah, I mean, I'm still a little sad, and I'm still upset that my trust was betrayed. But I am no longer. I'm no longer in the hole.
That's good. That's good.
So I'm as close to back to my usual optimistic and happy self as I can be without necessarily being 100% of the way there. So you guys pulled me up, and I really appreciate it. So thank you. Friends are important, and I love my friends. Okay. Aw, thanks, Trans man. You're genuine and an all-around good man. I make a conscious effort to attempt to be. Doesn't just happen. I actually think about trying to be a good person. All right.
I got a funny
There's
for
a
you.
lot
I
of
got a funny for you to start the day off.
Sure thing.
Yeah, well, let's start the day off on a funny because this is funny. I'll put this on the screen and then read it to you because it's really appropriate for these times. Trust me when I say this.
Okay.
Oh my goodness gracious me! And let's just put this on the screen. This is really funny. It's really funny and appropriate all at the same time. Let me just change the screen view so we can see it a little bit better. Memes be like, "Would you spend a night in this haunted house for $1 million?" And I'm like, "You're really underestimating the economy. I'd sleep in this haunted house for the house and the ghost that's going to be my co-creator on a very lucrative TikTok paranormal channel."
Love it.
Would you sleep in a haunted house for a minute? No, I just want the house, dude. We have a housing crisis. I read that and I was like, oh my, that is a great way to start the day with a good hearty belly laugh because that is funny. Be my co-creator and the ghost that's going to be my co-creator on a very lucrative TikTok paranormal channel. Like, that's good.
I read in the comments. I got Kid James goes to Douglas hides his bitchy side really well. Sometimes no, sometimes yes, but I will admit that yesterday I had a moment of classic passive aggression, where I'm not sure that the other person realized I was being passive aggressive, but I was just enough for my own catharsis.
Fair point.
So just in terms it was something written and it was in the formulation of sentences. Yes. But yes, I'm and another friend I talked to was like laughing his head off because it's like, oh my god, I don't know what's funnier, whether or not it's the interaction from from the other person or whether or not was your response. It's like she really doesn't know that you know, do you? It's like so no, she don't. And she, in this case, is gender neutral, kids.
Okay.
We're talking in gay camp here. So sometimes in gay camp, everyone's a she and a her.
Bitch, please. Right?
Exactly. Um, all right, Kits and Cubs, there's some important things in the news.
Yeah.
In Quebec today, the I think it's the Superior Court, it is, or the Court of Appeals, I can't remember off the top of my head, will be ruling on the constitutionality of Bill 21. Now, for those who may have lost uh, the thread over the past little while, Bill 21 is the secularism bill in Quebec that makes it so that certain public servants are not allowed to wear what was called defined ostentatious religious symbols in the performance of their duties. So teachers, judges, and certain other public servants. And it's the Quebec Court of Appeal. So this has been in court. Well, the law has been in place for 5 years. It was put in place in 2019, and of course, it's gone to court. And there was a big thing for the longest time. Trudeau, what you going to do about it? And Prime Minister Trudeau took the position. Listen, we believe this bill is discriminatory, but we're not going to do anything about it until it actually gets to the Supreme Court. And he actually hasn't been saying we will do something about it when it gets to the Supreme Court. But it's not time for the federal government, excuse the crude language, but to shoot its shot right now when it's still going through the Quebec courts. Let the Quebec courts decide
Shoot your shot.
what it is. And
it's hockey. Shoot
your shot.
Hockey.
No, I know that, but
take a shot.
Yes, but
I cleaned it up.
What I mean?
I cleaned it
yes,
up.
You cleaned it up. Thank you for passing a broom down my dirty street. So they're going to rule, and eventually, this is something that's eventually going to cut to the Supreme Court, and the federal government's going to have to decide whether or not it does an intervention at that time. But the federal government would really like a court to rule that it is unconstitutional before they step in, because there's nothing for the federal government to be gained except for creating a war with the provincial government while the bill is at this stage. Now, it had gone to Quebec Superior Court originally, and that court had ruled it constitutional with a couple of exceptions. But now it's the Quebec Court of Appeal that will be making the decision. Of course, the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, is involved in the case, as is the National Council of Canadian Muslims. They're arguing that the bill discriminates on the basis of religion. The arguments were heard by panel judges about a year and a half ago, so today is going to be the decision. It's expected to come sometime this afternoon. Now, the chances are most often it's going to be, yes, it's provincial court, Kit Michael. The decision is going to be that it is or it isn't unconstitutional, and if it is ruled to be unconstitutional, they'll say how and why, and then they'll probably go, well, but our decision is moot because Quebec had invoked the notwithstanding clause. Now, the notwithstanding clause sunsets every 5 years. So this was passed in 2019. This year is 2024. So it is 5 years. And it looks like the Quebec government is reapplying within the l'Assemblée nationale. So it's deposing another bill in order to impose the notwithstanding clause on the bill yet again. So to renew it for another 5 years. So that decision will be coming out this afternoon. It'll be interesting to see what happens after that. But expect that issue to bubble up again on the federal radar, especially if the next step after this decision is applying to the Supreme Court. Because then it will become an election issue, and we know that PP is on the record allegedly as saying, "Let the provinces do what the provinces will do and butt out."
But if he's the prime minister, he's going to take over everything that the provinces already do, according to him. He's always stepping over federal and provincial jurisdictional lines in the way he speaks. So now he says he walks that back. It's like, I can't believe a damn thing out of his mouth.
Yep.
I have a factoid.
But it's going to be interesting.
I have a factoid for you, which might be interesting for the Kits and Cubs to know, and it will lean into the election as well. Did you know since September, the Housing Accelerator Fund has unlocked the construction of more than 600,000 homes in over 40 communities across Canada.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's an effective program.
Clearly.
And everybody's turning around, oh, it's just an announcement of like 5,000, 6,000. But yeah, 5,000 in this community, 8,000 in this community, 10,000 in this community, 2,000 in this community. Hey,
It adds up.
all of a sudden it adds up.
Yeah.
I mean, they've made over 40 different announcements so far.
Yeah, 600,000 homes are under construction across the country.
Yep. So yeah, it says just to get back to the Bill 21 here and what I'm looking at the CBC here, it says whatever the Court of Appeal decides, both the Quebec government and opponents of the laws have said that it's likely they'll appeal that decision, and that ultimately it will be the Supreme Court of Canada that will have the final word on it. So yeah, I just don't know if that's the next step after this one. Like I said, law is not necessarily my strongest domain. I'm pretty good once I read some stuff, but I don't necessarily know all the ins and outs off the top of my head. So that's an interesting development. And another interesting development, which is not happening here, but in France, it appears that the government in France is about to include the right to abortion in its constitution.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, the right to access to abortion was happened back in 1974, and it seems that it's been discussed a lot, especially with the decision in the United States from the Supreme Court there to strike down Roe versus Wade. There was a push to add it into the Constitution, and it seems that it's in the final stages. It might be voted upon on Monday. It has to pass both chambers in France, and if it does, it will become a woman's right to determine what happens to her own body will become a constitutional right there. So, like I said, as we're watching the whole world try to take lots of places try to take another step to the right, there's certain places, if you're paying attention, where equality and fairness and all that kind of stuff is slowly breaking out. Yes, Michael Pilon says, I believe the federal appeals court might be the next step. Yeah, I thought that there was another phase between that and where we were in the Supreme Court. I just couldn't remember off the top of my head what it was. So thank you for that. So yeah, that's going on in France. We have Bill 21 here. And also today is budget day in Alberta. Danielle Smith had that 8-minute video where she informed Albertans that she was going to bait and switch them for the second time.
Yeah.
Because remember, there was that big energy rebate that she promised everyone was a rebate, and then she got into power and says, "Oh, did I say rebate?
No, I mean, your rate.
I meant it was a deferral. I meant it was a deferral. Yeah, you still need to pay that." So surprised a whole bunch of people with that. And then she ran. I believe it was like the first day of her campaign on a nice big income tax cut that would leave about $1,500 extra in the pockets of families. I guess a 2-person family in this case. Sorry, a 2-adult family, not a 2-person family, I would be guessing. And the other day, she just out of the blue said, "Oh, well, I've unilaterally decided, despite what I promised to get elected, that we need to start contributing more to that Heritage Savings Fund and pay down the debt because it's really important for us to grow the value of that fund from about 25 billion, where it is now, to 250 billion by 2050. I don't know what her obsession with 2050 is.
I don't know.
By the way, we can't do anything for the environment into 2050, and now we can't really give you any tax cuts or any wage increases of any significant amount, or spending on things in any significant way, or starting new programs until 2050, of course, when she will no longer be around. And this is, a lot of people are casting this as it's basically a ploy for her to get out of giving people salary boosts when negotiations with public servants come up later this year and next year and all that kind of stuff. Oh, sorry, the cupboard is bare. We really have to put more money in that savings fund. There's nothing more important than that. So apparently, even though we're allegedly in an affordability crisis and allegedly carbon taxes are making it so that you can't decide, you have to decide between whether or not you're going to eat or pay your mortgage or your rent, Danielle Smith is preparing to announce that she's got nothing for you, even though she ran on helping you. Just, your classic little bait and switch. All these people that thought that, they would be getting $1,500 extra this year and counted on that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden just had the rug pulled out.
Your
under
SOL.
them.
That kits and cubs means shit out of luck.
Yeah. And apparently there was plans to build a major hospital in Alberta too, and apparently that's going to get shelved too. So
big
it's
shocker.
not like healthcare is going great in Alberta to start with. But nope, you don't need a hospital and you don't need that tax cut. That money needs to go into a bank account so that the government of Alberta, the conservative government of Alberta, can make more interest. That's basically what she's telling you. You don't need that money to pay down your debt to reduce your interest. The government of Alberta needs that money so he could make more interest money. Because apparently Danielle has sort of come to realize all of a sudden, I guess in the last week or so, that after 50-something years of conservative government in the last 60, that, gee, you know what? Maybe it's not a good idea to fund health and education from oil royalty revenues that fluctuate up and down. It's only something everybody on the left has been telling them for about 40 years. And they kept on denying. It's only something that could have been really avoided if they only had like a 3% provincial sales tax haul this year. And they could have taken that money to cover that stuff and put the rest in the fund. But no, we got to keep that Alberta advantage. So, and ask all the rest of us in Canada to subsidize that 0% provincial sales tax. So, yeah, she's screwing Alberta's over really hard. A lot of them are probably because, the press the way it is. They're going to praise her for her foresight and her vision and all that kind of stuff. But, everyday Albertans are still getting screwed. And she hasn't passed. It's not exactly like she's passing on that childcare stuff either. And I don't think Alberta is one of the 5 provinces that have signed that healthcare deal yet either.
The pharmacare? No, she's...
Not the pharmacare. That's not up to sign, but the big healthcare deal that was agreed to about 2 years ago that Ontario just signed on to a couple of days ago when the federal government made billions of dollars of money available with certain strings. A lot of provinces haven't finalized the deal yet. That money's just been sitting there.
Well,
as healthcare goes up. So yes, they'll call it fiscal responsibility because, as in her video, it's such an exciting time in the history of Alberta. I get to screw you and make a video with soft lighting to let you know that what I'm doing is really preparing for your future because I care.
No, she does not.
She doesn't care. She just doesn't want to pay people.
That's what it boils down to.
Yep. So that's happening. So watch for that. It says the prediction is that the budget will have no spending cuts and no new taxes. Right. But no new spending cuts again. If you're not increasing spending on basic services to keep up with inflation and population growth, you get less service for that money. So technically it is a spending cut. Just by another name.
So... in other news, did you hear that federal NDP MP for Elmwood Transcona, Daniel Blakey, will be stepping down from his seat?
Yes.
And did you hear his remarks as he stepped out of the House of Commons?
I did not hear his remarks as he stepped out of the House of Commons.
I have them for you. And boy,
please.
He did not hold back.
I can imagine.
The chair did not hear the comment, but recognizes that the honourable member from Elmwood Transcosa is rising on his feet.
Mr. Speaker, in the course of expressing concerns for the tongue of certain Conservative members that I feared would get stuck in the backside of their leader as he exited the chamber, I did indeed use unparliamentary language, and for that...
The chair did not...
Wow. What happened there?
I like him.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Did not hold back.
I like him a lot. Yeah, he's leaving to go and work with Wab Canoe.
Yeah, he's going to be a senior advisor for Wab Canoe.
Yes. So that's a major loss.
It is.
for Mr. Singh, because I believe at the end of last year, when we were doing our year-end review and we were talking about opposition MPs that had gotten our attention over the course of the year, Daniel Blakey was one. He was one of the few that stood out last year, and it's hard to be an opposition MP from the fourth party and find a way to stand out. Because it's not like the fourth party gets a lot of attention to start with, and then usually if there's going to be an attention, it's going to be on the leader.
Mm-hmm.
And he had managed to distinguish himself. So, and for those of us who are a little older, Daniel Blakey is the son of Bill Blakey, who's like a pillar of the NDP movement. So, anything Blakey is a big name in NDP circles.
Yeah, this is a major coup for Wob. Major coup for Mr. Canoe.
Oh, Krim Sarim. It rhymes. So yes, this is a big win. As Cassie says, yes, it's a big win for Manitoba. A huge loss for Mr. Singh. I don't know how he's. I don't know if anybody's put the question to him yet about how he feels about that and what that signifies for the federal NDP. But that's yep. It's going to be interesting. Another thing in the news, you might have been hearing about it, is that Canada was looking at reinstituting the requirement for people visiting from Mexico to have a visa to come into Canada. It used to be the case, and then I believe in around 2016, the current Prime Minister removed that.
Correct.
Because we do have free trade among the three countries, so it's kind of weird to be asking visas from citizens from a country with whom we have free trade. But it seems that as an election is approaching in the United States, that there's a certain number of people that do come to Canada and then try to enter the United States from the north, and then don't leave. Now, it's not even 1% of all people who apply for asylum, but given that sometimes when things go a little rough in the United States, they like to turn and look north and use this as a punching bag a little bit. Trump famously did that. We were his favorite punching bag. Democrats do it less often, but you also have a lot of Republicans in state legislatures, every now and then trying to talk about, but what about the northern border? As if that one is their problem.
Vivek Ramaswamy tried to bring that one up, and it was like, oh, right. You mean the northern border? You want to build a wall? Go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Please, by all means. You think
you want to build a wall and you want to pay for it?
Knock yourselves out.
Gee, no.
Canadians are fleeing to go move to the United States. Really?
Please don't.
I'll help them pack. Canadians are fleeing to move to Russia. I'll help you pack.
Maybe it's one of these reverse psychology things where we have to go, no, please don't build that wall. That would make us very sad.
Yes, whatever you do, don't do that.
We would be devastated. Yes, that's the word. Devastated. So there's talk about that. So it seems that that's going to be the case, and of course the government. So that it's going to go into effect at around 11:30 this morning, it seems, and it looks like the government of Mexico is going to quote unquote. I was going to say retaliate, but this is not really retaliation. I'm going to say reciprocate. So it seems that Canadians now, if you're going to want to go to Mexico, it's probably not like today, but very, very soon, you are probably going to need a visa as well. And this is all just to make sure that people in the United States don't lose their freaking minds.
Yeah.
Because it's election season. It doesn't really help either any of us. It just creates an extra layer of bureaucracy. But you know what? Again, when you're the mouse who shares the bed with the elephant, you got to sometimes keep the elephant happy.
Yeah.
So it seems we're putting out in order not to get squished. Excuse the crude language.
I just saw something funny that this is from a couple of years ago.
Okay.
But this will sort of lend credence to how they keep trying to make over Skippy and make him appealing to
Anyone? I'm sorry.
Women, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. But this is this is from, like I said, a few years ago. I'm going to put it on the screen, and here's what the quote was. It says, "No amount of money will ever make you over to have a woman look at you the way this woman looks at." So this is from a few years ago.
Looks at what? Oh,
Ivanka Trump, the way she longingly and lovingly stares at the Prime Minister of Canada.
mhm. I like the top one. Oh, yes, you could sit here.
Yeah. Like the eagerness and the enthusiasm, and as she urges him to sit beside her, and then you see her, the way she's looking at him is, she seems to be mesmerized.
She's looking at him like she hasn't eaten in a month, and he's a Happy Meal.
Yeah. And I just thought, why does the thing keep doing that? I just thought it was kind of funny because, the way that, who was it, the plebe kept going on about, look at how jacked you.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, but you photoshopped him. Heavily photoshopped him.
Like really heavily. Like, girl, you got some work done. Are they real? It's like, I keep on thinking like when somebody gets a boob job and they're talking to a friend, and it goes like, "How do they feel?" And she goes, "Go touch it, feel it." It's like real. It's
Yeah.
like I almost want to go pee pee and goes, "Are those real?" Honk honk.
So I don't know if I have it saved somewhere, but I keep seeing that Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party keep going on about what they call Arrive scam, the Arrive Can app. They
Yeah.
keep going on and on and on about it. And each time they do, I just reply, "Here's the budget from CBSA, read it. Here's the budget from CBSA, read it." Constantly. I'm doing it constantly because they seem to ignore the budget and they just keep talking. It was supposed to be $80,000 and it was $60 million. It was $55 million, not 60.
$80,000 was just for the first thing.
And you have to
In
look
that-
at all the other
like
things involved. It wasn't just the app,
Right. It's like
a call center.
you read exactly right. You read the first line. It's almost like they look at the CBSA thing. They read at the first line, said, "That's it. I don't need to read anymore. I know everything I need to know." It's like there are like literally like 10 or 12 other line items required.
Yeah.
Under that. And it's just like, oh God. And once again, it's like I see that type of behavior and I say, WTF. Yeah, well, that fits.
Yeah, so it says the report pegs the cost of the app at $59.5 million, more than the previously estimated $54 million, but cautions that the true cost was impossible to calculate because of CBSA's poor financial record keeping. Oh boy. Here's the thing. It came in a little bit above because of the fact that there was other things that they found out after the fact that needed to be developed. They're like, I can develop an app for $250,000. Yes, you can. But does it tie into government records that have to connect to the government of Canada, have to be secure? You have to have a call center. There's multiple variations of it until they get it smoothed out. It also has to cross-reference your vaccination records, which are, again, super secure because that's your personal private health information. You can't do that for $250,000. It's not doable. And I've talked to friends of mine who are developers, and they're like, no, they go, 59 million sounds like a lot. Then I showed them the line items in the budget, and they're like, no, that makes sense. It's like,
Well, yeah.
Here's another
Absolutely.
thing from Jennifer O'Connell, and sticking on the Arrive can. Jennifer O'Connell, who is a member of Parliament, where is she from? Member of Parliament for Pickering Uxbridge. She says, while debating a motion about the Arrive Can app, I tried to table documents showing the company in question received millions of dollars of IT contracts from the previous Conservative government. Surprise, surprise. Conservative MPs block this information from being tabled.
Yep. Yep. Because
They lose their cudgel.
well, they lose their cudgel, but here's the other thing also, right, is that they were trying to have two people brought in to testify. and they had the entire House vote on a motion, because you had Michael Barrett walking through the hallways filming himself saying, voting on a motion that if the two people didn't want to come in, then a warrant would be put out to drag them in. Now that's something that's very rare in Canada. You often sometimes hear in Canada that some MPs from committees want to swear someone in before they come to testify. Like this, we need to swear them in. It's like, and in Canada we don't do that. In the United States, when you're watching one of those sessions like this, they always swear people in. In Canada, it's assumed that if your butt's in that seat, you are under oath to begin with. And swearing someone in is an extra ceremonial thing that is done that is exceptional. And the only reason to do that, if you're doing that in Canada, is because you want to send, it's an exercise in preemptive framing, meaning it's usually an opposition party that asks for it. And they're bringing someone in because they want to get an image of someone swearing in, because it creates an impression in the mind of Canadians, because we don't do that here, that the people are untrustworthy or criminal to begin with. So that whole thing about innocent until proven guilty, they're presupposing that the two people will not want to come in, and they will not want to come in because they've done something illegal. So therefore we have to put out a mandate to ensure that there's a warrant in case they don't come in, to try and drag them in.
Exactly.
But all of that is literally constrapiece theater to get you, the citizen at home, going, well, gee, they have to issue a warrant to bring it in. Wow, these guys must be really criminal. This must be really sneaky and underhanded. Literally all political theater.
I do have something here in regards to ArriveCAN, though, and this is from Vashi Kapelos, who, by the way, I was talking with some colleagues and friends yesterday about how, since she's become a mother, I've noticed that her reporting and her interviewing style has changed. She's not letting people get away with anything. She will ask them the same pointed question repeatedly, and she says, okay, then you refuse to answer that. Let's move on. She's not just letting them skate anymore. So I've noticed that she's really improved her style and her work ethic as a journalist, and I applaud her. I don't necessarily agree with everything she says, but I found that she's really stepped her game up since becoming a mother. Who knows why? I don't know. Maybe she looked at what she had done in the past and said, I can be better. But either way, I think she's really stepped up her game. But this is a story from her. And it says D&D suspends contracts with ArriveCAN contractor after learning the CEO is a D&D employee.
Yes.
Just due to the serious nature of the concerns raised, D&D is launching an internal investigation into the matter. Now, I also heard that apparently this employee was also a candidate for the PPC party. It's like, what the hell is going on here?
Okay,
yeah.
You scoop my next one. All right, so let's go there.
I'm
like, trying to build stuff, my friend.
I don't know, man. I'm going along with it. We're sticking with the
ArriveCAN. Do you think I don't know this? All right. So
I gotta get a coffee.
Okay, we'll get.
Okay, I'll be right back.
Oh, you're going to get a coffee. Okay, I was going to put something up on the screen. Okay, we definitely have our timing crossed today. All right. So yes, you heard ArriveCAN, and the Conservatives for months now have been doing stuff in committee and calling it Arrive Scam and all that kind of stuff. And the Auditor General came out and issued a report and saying that a lot of things with the things were done, but it seems that most of the things at the CBSA level, not so much the federal government level. The CBSA in the execution of that contract had terrible record keeping. I don't know if the CBSA typically runs this type of project. She basically said the lack of information to support ArriveCAN spending and decisions has compromised accountability. Public servants must always be transparent and accountable to Canadians for their use of public funds. Many questions that parliamentarians and Canadians are asking cannot be answered. And they're trying to spin this, of course, as Prime Minister Trudeau having hid this. But a little reported detail is that Prime Minister Trudeau actually asked for this audit to be done on this.
Right.
when it became apparent that something was wrong with the way that this was managed at the CBSA level, not at the federal government contracting out level.
So there's an interesting thing here. So it's a dalliance.
Hold on before you
Alien
jump to
interest.
something else.
No, it's still on the same thing. We're still on the same
I
topic.
know, but I'm not done my point yet.
Keep rolling.
So they found other things. Of the contractors examined, 18% of the invoices submitted did not provide enough information to determine whether or not there were expenses related to ArriveCAN or another IT project. Of the overall estimated cost of $53.3 million went of the overall estimated cost, $53.3 million went towards the app's pandemic response team health component, while $6.2 million went towards the CBSA adding the digitized customs and immigration declaration form. The average per diem cost for the app to be worked on by external contractors was $1,090, whereas the average daily cost for equivalent IT positions within the federal government is $675. And she said that practices to manage ArriveCAN were missing at the most basic levels. Now, the Auditor General's report backs up other reports that came in, so like a report from the procured ombudsman, because he sounded the alarm about the irregular contracting, including subcontractors who never actually did work on the app. And these are all the things that did lead the Prime Minister to ask for this thing to be reviewed to see what was going up on this. There's more stuff in there, and you can read the articles about what the Auditor General said. But the Conservatives thought that this was going to make a huge, huge scandal. See? And they're pointing at basically this $60 million and saying, it's terrible. While, meanwhile, in Alberta, there's about $100 million that went to buy off-brand Tylenol that was the wrong dose and that they couldn't offload on anyone, and nobody's saying anything about that. And Doug Ford was just announced that there was another $26 million sole source contract given to someone. Yes, and no conservative seems to have a problem about that, but they're losing their minds over $60 million that everybody knew was going to be spent in the first place, because as Mr. Grizzly pointed out, there was this whole document that came out, and we will show it again here for the kids.
You found it?
Yep. So we could take a look.
Looking for it, and I couldn't find it.
So, and here you got, right, when they're talking about the $80,000, the
initial version, yeah.
Initial version, 70 plus releases of the app on the website. So the initial version was 80,000, and then there was 70 plus releases. There was another of the app on the website, so there was another 8.8 million there, and then, well, actual spent was 8.5, but forecast 8.8. There was a call center, data management, indirect costs, proof of vaccination credential development.
Look at the indirect cost, the estimate versus the actual.
Yes.
$4 million, $3 million, $4 million difference. I don't know, big difference.
A big difference.
$3 million.
$3 million.
$3.1 million difference.
Yeah. Data storage and cloud services, IT support, other CBSA systems, security, accessibility, program and project management, future readiness, data migration, and then a bit of a contingency fund for something. So these were all the things that had to go in. So they're basically turning around and, says, oh, how much was this class? Initial version, $80,000. Yep, that's it. That's all we need to know.
Except the thing is, people, like I said, you cannot do what they did, develop that kind of app with the security level required. Why does the thing keep doing that?
I do not know.
You can't do what is required of that application because it is required to service 41 million Canadians. We're not quite at 41 million, but give us a couple of minutes and we'll be there.
So, yes. As you mentioned, Mr. Grizzly, so they thought it was going to be this big thing and that they were going to make the Liberals wear this, and it didn't go where it needed. It didn't get as much traction as they had hoped. And now other people are starting to dig, and as you mentioned, MP Jennifer Connell decided, or McConnell or Connell, sorry, Connolly. Found some documents saying, hey, this company that the Conservatives are saying is just two people in their basement or in their garage, that the Liberals gave some money to two people that didn't do any work, but maybe they didn't do any programming work themselves, but maybe they hired everybody and coordinated the entire project, which is a thing, right? You hire a project coordinator. The project coordinator doesn't actually do the programming, but what a terrible thing that they give the money, and then turns out, well, it looks like the Conservatives contracted with them too when they were in government. So, clearly that's not a fly-by-night organization. And she said, well, can I table these documents? And they said, No. And then came out this over here from it was come on. As you mentioned, the article from CTV that says D&D suspends contracts with ArriveCan contractor after learning CEO is a D&D employee. This is according to CTV. Just a day after the federal government announced a review of its program to support Indigenous contractors, CTV News has learned that the CEO of a company that did the review is an employee of the Department of National Defense. David Yeo, YEO, is the CEO of Dalian Enterprises, which received $7.9 million for its work on the ArriveCan app. The Defense Department confirmed Yeo is currently employed with them, but has been suspended. Quote, due to the serious nature of the concerns raised, D&D is launching an internal investigation into the matter, a departmental spokesperson told CTV News in an email. Quote, the individual has been suspended while this investigation is underway. We are in the process of suspending contracts with Dalian. The spokesperson also told CTV News the investigation would be completed in a timely manner, but didn't specify how long that would be. Quote, we take these concerns very seriously, and the internal investigation will be thorough. The Globe and Mail first reported that the company presents itself as an Indigenous-owned and together with another company, Cordix, worked on the ArriveCan app. So that's where, for example, when the federal government announced a review of its program to support Indigenous contractors, this guy, David Yeo, who says he has an Indigenous-owned company, well, that kind of popped up. And then people looked at it and said, what's this? Well, wait a minute. How does he have a company that's getting government contracts if he's still an employee of the government?
Well, that's not super uncommon, by the way, because they submit an RFP. So it's a request for proposal. So it goes out to tender. People bid on it. And if they like your bid and you get it, that's how it works. This is not uncommon.
But
And
in the
as
RFP, you probably have to state that the person working on it or the person owning the company is a public servant.
Oh, yes. There's a disclosure as part of that. So they would know all of this. Here's the thing, though. They've been working for the government for at least 2 decades because the Conservative Party had hired them when they were in government. So they're trying to make a scandal here out of something that has been going on for over 20 years.
But I'm not sure if the people that the Conservative government hired is this David Yeo.
Dalian, same company.
Dalian?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go. So they work with them too then.
I think they have about $8 million worth of contracts with the Conservative government.
Well, there you go.
Under Stephen Harper. So this is not new. Again,
it's not new.
It's a lot of hot air in the end.
Yep. So Indigenous Service Minister Patty Haydu yesterday announced a review of how it awards contract to Indigenous-owned businesses. The government policy is that 5% of the total value of government contracts go to Indigenous businesses by 2024. Two sources told CTV News that Yeo is employed on the civilian side of D&D as a member of the Materiel Group, and Dalian Enterprises has received multiple contracts from D&D as well as the Canada Border Services Agency, the RCMP, and a number of other departments. Now, CTV News had reached out to Mr. Yeo but did not receive a response by the time of publication. The story will be updated if it changes, they say. Now, with that, you have Luc Lebrun from Press Progress, who discovered this, as you mentioned, Mr. Grizzly, yesterday. What he posted said,
just a second. Pull that up. There we go.
Amazing. He was the People Party's candidate for Ottawa West Nepean too. So here you have picture of Maxime Bernier. Here's Mr. Yeo. And here's Mr. Yeo again.
From Dalian.
Yes. So apparently, it seems that the Conservatives were pushing so hard at trying to make ArriveCan stick because they wanted, as Kit JB says, to get all the blame on Trudeau before all this came out. That basically money went to a company with which the Conservatives also did business, and that those big bad Liberals were really trying to shuffle and funnel money to a PPC.
No, it's okay when we do it, but when you do it, it's bad.
But normally these types of scandals, right? Aren't you shoveling and funneling money to friendly liberal insiders? And
he's not
as Jagmeet Singh would call it.
Insider. Yeah.
So it's like, how scandalous that the Liberals were trying to shovel all that money to a PPC candidate. Oh, yeah. that probably won't fit with the narrative now, will it?
From Cranky Canuck, the Arrive scam is funny. Like any of these people really understand what it takes to build a site that scales to that size. Exactly. There's almost 41 million people in this country. I mean, we're going to hit 41 million very soon. As a matter of fact, I have it right here, and I'll show it to you. Here we go. Look at this. This is the current population as of this very moment in time. 40,913,193. We're at almost 41 million people in this country. So building an app that has the level of security requirements for something of that nature, you don't do that overnight, and you don't do it in a vacuum. You don't do it for $80,000.
Yep, exactly.
App, just the simple app, the interface, yeah, you can develop that and have it click in this, but to make
all the
scale to
support
what it needs to be, no.
Yeah.
No.
So yeah, so that's another one of those like 300 conservative discovered scandals that really isn't one. Good. But they were working really hard to try to pump this one up, and working hard for months to try to get Trudeau to wear this, only for us to find out that, well, gee, it seems that it's mostly conservative-minded people that seem to have benefited from the money at the moment.
Isn't that interesting?
Those big, bad liberals. Meanwhile, in other conservative MPs doing interesting things or might be in interesting situations with money, one of our show's favorites, Michelle Ferreri.
Yeah.
Michelle, you've got some explaining to do.
Oh boy, is she in it.
She is in doo-doo. It seems that a constituent, and whose identity has not been revealed,
No, nor should
has
it be.
submitted something to the Office of the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner that they shared with a certain account on Twitter, and it seems that they wrote this subject: failure to report material changes to her statement of conflict of interest related to holdings by her common law spouse. Common law spouse, Ryan Moore. We've seen videos like this where, he's in the hot tub with her when she was supposedly going to BC to do business, but she brought her kids and her husband, and she says, "Oh, it's not a vacation when you bring kids. It's a lot of work." So, but apparently she was visiting friends, whatnot, and made it such that she had like one little thing of business going on there so that she could declare it as a business trip. Anyway, Member Ferreri appears to have failed to report as required under Section 21 of the Conflict of Interest Code for members of the House of Commons, particularly Section 21, subsections 1 and 2, and in particular subsection 3, which requires, quote, "The member shall file a statement reporting any material change to the information required under subsection 1 to the Commissioner within 60 days after the change. It's evident that the member is fully aware of her obligations under the Code as evidenced by her submission of other material changes that have occurred and that she has reported on. The unreported material changes are: the member's current published statement indicates that Mr. Moore's common law spouse sole income is from, quote, business income from Ryan Moore, a consulting business located in Cavan, Ontario. I have been unable to find any evidence that Mr. Moore acts as a consultant in Cavan, Ontario. Contrary, Mr. Moore is a managing partner of Viva Industries, includes the link to the website. His biography on the Viva Industries website describes him as, quote, Ryan's passion for connecting people led him to government relations where he successfully facilitated and fostered key business relationships and deals. This relationship with Viva Industries was publicly announced February 22nd, 2023 in the Peterborough Examiner newspaper with a link to the article that indicates that Mr. Moore was a partner owner of Viva Industries and that they had acquired a controlling interest in the Canadian subsidiary of the Peterborough-based firm Rainmaker Worldwide Incorporated. The closing date for the acquisition was April 1st, 2023, not even a year ago. The state of this material change is clearly well beyond the 60-day requirement for the member to report any material changes to their declaration as required under Section 21, subsection 3 of the Conflict of Interest Code for members of the House of Commons.
So when you say Rainmaker Worldwide Incorporated, all I can think of is Worldwide Pants. David Letterman's production company.
Indeed.
As soon as I read it, I'm like, I could hear that in my head. Worldwide Pants.
This represents a significant investment and potentially represents a possible future conflict for member Ferreri MP that does not appear to have been reported. Further to this, it has been announced that Viva Industries, of which Mr. Moore is a partner, has acquired the controlling interest in a company based in, you guessed it, Turkey.
Mm-hmm.
Named Miranda under their moniker of Rainmaker Worldwide. Miranda is the water and wastewater treatment business and is reported based in the country of Turkey. Mr. Moore and partner Michael Skinner of Viva Industries traveled to Ankara, Turkey on or about January 22nd, 2024 for the final closing of the acquisition as indicated on Moore's personal Facebook page. The details of the transaction were reported by OTC Markets Financial Disclosure with a link to the financial disclosure at OTC Markets, with a total reported valuation of the acquisition being $5 million US, being cash payments, as well as 40 million shares in Rainmaker Worldwide, reported valued at the time at 5 cents a share, a reporting requirement of the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. This newest acquisition significantly extends Mr. Moore's financial holdings and again represents the potential for a future conflict of interest for the member Michelle Ferreri MP that does not appear to have been reported. I would respectfully request that the Commissioner undertake an investigation into these failings to report as required under the provisions of the Conflict of Interest of Code for members of the House of Commons. I make this request in good faith, and I declare that all the information provided is true and accurate to the best of my knowledge. And it seems that the Commissioner is indeed looking into it. Yes, you see the kids going, I'm shocked.
Shocked,
I say.
Sir, gambling going on here? I'm shocked, I tell you. Sir, your winnings for this evening? Thank you very much. That's from Casablanca, for those of you who are unfamiliar with that pop culture reference.
Yes. So Turkey, the nation from which Danielle Smith absolutely needed to buy Tylenol in order to own the libs, because you got some people going around, well, she had to do it because Trudeau didn't do it, didn't get the meds here fast enough. It's not the federal government's job to make sure that provinces bring the meds in. Now, if we do national pharmacare and the federal government is buying for all the provinces and then redistributing them, that's one, but that's not the problem. That's not the system that we have now. So, and it still doesn't explain the fact that she overpaid, got the wrong product, got the wrong dose, and then couldn't offload them. Trudeau didn't do any of that. So even if it was up to Trudeau to buy the meds and he didn't buy the meds in time, and then she had to go buy them to do his job for him, she still screwed up the purchase and the ordering and the dose.
And it was never actually divvied up and sent out to people.
I'm not even sure.
Got this. I think they're sitting on shelves somewhere in a warehouse.
Yeah, but they can't give them because it's not like, they'd have to like take one and cut another one in order to make a full dose. And you're not going to do that because you could overdose, particularly on children's medications. So then they said, well, don't worry, we'll be able to sell them to somebody else. And like, nobody wants them. So now they have to not only have to pay, they don't only have to pay to get them, pay not to use them, pay to store them. Now they got to pay to dispose of them.
Yeah.
No wonder she wants to put your tax cut into the Savings and Heritage Fund. She blew it all on Tylenol. So,
boy.
I don't know what it is with all these dealings with Turkey, but yes. So we have some Arrive Scan money that went to employees of D&D with whom conservatives have already done business, one of which who is a member or a candidate for the PPC. Big liberal scandal here. And then we have Michelle Ferreri, whose common law spouse is going around the world buying different companies, which with a future conservative government might want to do business one day, and not declaring those on the conflict of interest. And then the other day, Mr. Grizzly, there was this beautiful, 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 beautiful multi-page submission, if you remember correctly, because we've been talking about it for 2 days now. This letter from, I believe, and also a constituent, if I'm not mistaken, who did some research into the Poilievres. And it seems that there's some very, very interesting thing going on there too, with regard to some of the things that they have declared or have not declared. And I have actually spoken with the person who wrote this.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Okay.
And I commended them
Well, we're
on
well
their
written, well
brilliance.
researched. Yes.
It is ridiculously well researched. And I'm going to put it up here so kids can see it a little bit. If you want to look
I
at
have
it.
it. I have it.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a sec here. I'll share it with you so you can see it because it's. I can't
So
blow
it's
it up
from
a whole lot because it's like a scan of the document. But
yeah.
But here we are.
So it's from an account called at AMC in Hogtown, and they are the person that did write it. So
And they wrote it's the WTF affair. Where's the funds? Right?
yes. So it's right. Dear Polyev, think penthouse. I never thought I'd be writing one of these letters, but sometimes question period can get kind of crazy. I'm just a regular old Canadian looking for some decorum, integrity, and accountability. I thought things were going okay until last week. And then they published this, and it's going to take a while, but it is juicy. So via post, Speaker President the Parliamentary GA Greg Fergus. So they wrote this to Greg Fergus, but they did send it to a whole bunch of other places like Elections Canada and stuff like. Because I said, please tell me you sent this to Elections Canada as well. Because oh yeah, I sent it to a couple other places, and then I was sort of like had like that little tissue I was crying and go, proud Beaver Papa. The kids grow up so fast. They learn. But RE, the WTF affair, the conduct of Pierre Poilievre, Member of Parliament and leader of the official opposition in the House of Commons during question period February 14th, 2024. On June 12, 2023, the Honourable Member of Parliament for Durham, Aaron O'Toole, rose in the House of Commons to deliver his parting thoughts on his time in the House. During his speech, Mr. O'Toole offered this astute observation, quote, far too often we are just using this chamber to generate clips, not to start national debates. To date, no other MP has demonstrated the truth of Mr. O'Toole's words more than his successor, Pierre Poilievre, MP for Carleton and the leader of the official opposition. On February 14, 2024, in the House of Commons during question period, Poilievre violated the accepted principles and guidelines for oral questions. More concerning, Poilievre exploited his position as a member of Parliament and the leader of the official opposition, contorting the purpose of question period to serve Poilievre's partisan political objectives, and it would seem for personal and political financial gain. Poilievre abused government resources entrusted to him by the constituents of Carleton, resources permitted to him solely for the performance of his ministerial duties. Poilievre manipulated the chamber by developing a pre-planned performance contrived for the creation of a video clip intended for online social media consumption. I will refer to the incident as the WTF moment, to Poilievre's words as his WTF statement, and the resultant video clip as the WTF clip. In a supposed question to the Prime Minister about ArriveCan, Poilievre made a declaration, a statement straining yet failing to resemble any acceptable inquiry. Poilievre stated the following, quote, Let us get this straight. This company with 4 employees headquartered in the basement of a tiny cottage got IT contracts even though they admit they do no IT work. It was $250 million. WTF. The speaker warned Poilievre that he was, quote, dangerously close to crossing the line of accepted parliamentary language. The speaker told him that WTF, a commonly used initialization in our age of text messages and social media posts, is understood by everyone to mean what the fuck, although you shied away from uttering those words. The speaker asked Poilievre to withdraw the comment and to use parliamentary language. Unbeknownst to you, you unwittingly played a role into Poilievre's script for the WTF clip. And then at the bottom of that, when I tell that people this person went over and above when they wrote a letter.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to show it to you here, there. Mr. Grizzly, if you'll show it. Footnotes.
Oh, yeah. A lot of them.
Okay.
This person did the digging, did the research. This person has done book reports and gave the bibliography of it all.
There are footnotes at the bottom of at least 3 of the first 4 pages. Okay.
Yes.
Instead of withdrawing this comment, Poilievre played cute, responding, Mr. Speaker, where's the funds? No one in that moment, save for those who may have been in on the stunt, could have realized what was going on. Polyev scripted the WTF statement and staged the WTF moment for the purposes of creating the WTF clip. There can be no doubt this was a stunt. With respect to Polyev's use of unparliamentary language and his subsequent duplicitous explanation of the intended meaning of WTF, the speaker somewhat naively interjected and asked for clarification. Procedures and practices dictates that in deciding how to proceed, the speaker, quote, takes into account the tone, manner, and intention of the member speaking. Emphasis added on the intention of the member speaking. As stated above, the speaker could not have known Polyev's intentions. A little over an hour later, at 3:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the WTF moment had been edited into the WTF clip, presumably by Polyev's communication team, and posted to Polyev's Twitter X account. The WTF clip was also posted to Polyev's Facebook and Instagram accounts and to Polyev's YouTube channel. The WTF moment and the resultant WTF clip formed the foundation of what was to come next. Polyev branded WTF merchandise. The WTF moment and the WTF clip also provide content for Polyev's use of the initialized expression in ongoing campaign-style online assets. As for Polyev branded WTF merch, it is sold online for profit through www.bringithome.ca, bringithome.ca, or, quote, the online store. Now, bringithome.ca, here's where things get interesting, kids. Bringithome.ca is the for-profit merchandise section of the Conservative Party of Canada's website, www.conservative.ca, or the CPC site.
Yeah.
The official launch of the Polyev branded WTF merch was the following day, February 15th, 2024. That evening, Polyev's wife, Anaida Galinda Polyev, announced the availability of a new unisex one-off limited edition WTF t-shirt via her Twitter X account, @Anna Polyev, and provided a link to the WTF product page on bringithome.ca. Galindo Polyev tagged her husband's Twitter X account, Pia Polyev, in the promotional post. Pia Polyev account appears to be Polyev's official account related to his role as leader of the CPC, leader of the official opposition, and of course, aspiring Prime Minister of Canada. It is the account connected to his profile page on the CPC site. Polyev reposted his wife's tweet, adding it to WTF, what an awesome shirt. On February 16th, 2024, Galindo Polyev published a second promotional post for the WTF stating, "Thousands of Canadians want to know WTF. We're stocked. Order starts shipping week of February 26th. Although Polyev's account was not tagged by Galindo Polyev in the second promotional post, Polyev reposted his wife's tweet less than a minute later.
Dude.
The WTF is also promoted by Polyev on Facebook and Instagram and by Galindo Polyev on Instagram. The WTF is for sale at bringithome.ca for $35 Canadian. Bringithome.ca is now here's where it gets even more interesting. Bringithome.ca is a standalone online retailer with its own domain name and unique URL.
It's not part of the party.
Yes. Users experience bringithome.ca as the merch section of the CPC site. The online store has the same look and feel as the CPC site, and it is likely that users do not realize they have been directed away from conservative.ca to bringithome.ca when they click on merch. There are no obvious indications or warnings, such as an interstitial page or pop-up with the message, "You are now leaving the CPC website. Do you want to continue?"
Mm-hmm.
Which usually should be there for this type of stuff.
Yes.
Most users shopping on bringithome.ca will think they are still within a CPC-controlled online environment. So basically, high speak to everyday speak, is when you're on the website, conservative.ca, and you click the button called merch, it brings you to a whole other website. Now, that website was designed to look and feel in every way like you were still on the Conservative Party of Canada website. And there's no warning page that tells you, you know what, you're now leaving Conservative website and going to someplace else. And that bringithome.ca site, it does not seem to be owned by the Conservative Party of Canada. It is a standalone, for-profit business site. Now, we have to remember in Canada that political parties are considered private enterprises under the law. Right. So let's see what it is. The user experience gives the buyer of Polyev branded Bring It Home merchandise the impression that the net proceeds from their purchase go directly to the CPC, presumably to support local candidates or to fill Polyev's campaign coffers. Unless a user notices the change in the URL or carefully reads the About section of the online store, there is no indication they are buying merchandise from an entity and through a domain that appears to be controlled by a party or parties other than the Conservative Party of Canada. And this sense here, when they say controlled by a party, they don't mean a political party. They just mean, a person or an entity or a group. So that's party in legal speak. Here. There is a disclaimer in the footer of the online store that states, quote, authorized by the chief agent of the Conservative Party of Canada. Authorized means just that. The CPC has endorsed the commercial activity on bringithome.ca. However, this does not imply that the CPC has operation and control of the commercial activity. Upon review of the About section, it is apparent that bringithome.ca is under the direct control of Galindo Polyev, the wife. Anna. She controls bringithome.ca. Moreover, statements made in the About section indicate that Anna Galindo Polyev, and by extension Polyev, financially benefit from the sale of the various Polyev branded products offered thereon. It clearly states on bringithome.ca that, quote, when you purchase an item from Bring It Home merch store, you're not only showing your support for a growing movement, but you're also supporting a Canadian business. The business is not named, however. It is stated on the site, our apparel is designed and decorated in Ottawa, Ontario by a small family-owned business. Which family, Anna? Which family? Further along, there's a description of Galindo Polyev's role in the enterprise. Quote, from its very inception through its final realization, Anna Polyev spearheaded every facet of Bring It Home merchandise. She is the creative mind behind the vision and is the lead of its operational and branding aspects. She created the designs of the special edition logos with the help of a talented graphic designer, Greg, who apparently doesn't have a last name. Anida is responsible for supplier and merchandise selection, fulfillment logistics, marketing, branding, and more. They just see. There's something you have to understand about conservatives is like they like to pump their own tires.
Mm-hmm.
So on a website, like, she spearheaded every facet from inception through its final realization. She is the creative mind behind the vision. Ooh, all those fluffies. Like, geez, Anna sounds like this real go-getter. Like, she's got her finger on the pulse of fashion. And like this. She wrote it on the site that she owns, that she connected to the party site. And thought nobody would notice. It's like, here's a pro tip. When you might be criming, because I have to say might be here, don't include a flowery, effusive description of your contribution to the criming on the website that you're using to maybe fleece people. Maybe.
They can't even crime good.
Darwin, we have one for you. All right.
Here, Mr. Cal cites this one. No nepotism here, folks. Oh, look. Blackface.
The description leaves no doubt that bringithome.ca is Galindo Polyev's business, and for all intents and purposes, she is in control both creatively, operationally, and it would appear fiscally of the retail aspect of the CPC. Whether or not a formal contract exists between CPC and Galindo Polyev is unknown. But one would assume there would be one if the site has been authorized, now hasn't.
Well, one would assume. It's a fair assumption to make, because it certainly looks like it, right?
Yes. Until a few months ago, Galindo Polyev was the sole owner and operator of a company called Pretty and Smart Incorporated, registered at 6929 Lakes Park Drive, Ottawa. They believe we showed the real estate listing at one point for that. It is possible that the CPC has a contract with Pretty and Smart for the development and operation of bringithome.ca, yet Pretty and Smart, which was incorporated on November 21st, 2015, was dissolved for non-compliance on November 11th, 2023. Oh, it seems Anna has trouble filing her tax reports. It is the last annual return, Form 22, filed by the company was for 2019. It is unclear whether Galindo Polyev is aware of the dissolution of Pretty and Smart. However, it is her responsibility to know the legal status of the corporation she controls. As such, I assume Polyev was informed by Galindo Polyev of the dissolution of the company. As an MP, Polyev has a duty under the Conflict of Interest Act. Oh, that pesky little thing again that Stephen Harper brought in. Section 25, subsection 5, to disclose any material change to his disclosure statement, much like Michelle Ferreri had, including the status of a spouse's business interest within 30 days of the change to the Conflict and Interest Commissioner. Pretty and Smart was dissolved more than 90 days ago. There is no publicly available evidence that Polyev has met his disclosure obligations. If he has, the material change disclosure is not currently published on the public registry. Polyev's most recent disclosure statement is dated September 25, 2023, and it indicates that Galindo Polyev holds the controlling interest and is the sole director of Pretty and Smart. Polyev's public disclosure, although outdated, matches Pretty and Smart's Form 2 corporate filing. First Board of Directors. Of note, in his disclosure, Polyev lists a rental income property on Lakes Park Drive in Ottawa, of which he is the sole owner. Unless Polyev owns more than one property on Lakes Park Drive, this property must be 6929 Lakes Park Drive, the registered address of the now defunct Pretty and Smart. Clearly, there is a direct relationship between Pretty and Smart and or Galindo Polyev and bringithome.ca. This is further evidenced by Galindo Polyev's promotion of the WTFT on social media. As of the date of this letter, the second most recent post on Galindo Polyev's Instagram account is a promotional post for the WTFT. Her Instagram account can be described as a mishmash of personal and professional posts, yet the account is a business account. The handle is at Pretty and Smart Incorporated. The contact information is at prettyandsmartcompany.com, and Pretty and Smart's website, www.prettyandsmartco.com, is listed in the profile. One certainly would not know that Pretty and Smart was dissolved a few months ago based on its online presence and promotion of the WTFT.
Yeah.
Oops. Aside from any general concerns regarding Polyev's performance in the House of Commons on February 14, 2024, the foregoing description of the lead-up, launch, and ongoing promotion of the WTFT is of considerable concern. First, there appears to be some kind of arrangement or possibility of formal contract between the CPC and Pretty and Smart and or Galindo Polyev as a sole proprietor for the design, production, and delivery of the merchandise for the CPC's online store. This arrangement also appears to include the ongoing maintenance and operation of bringithome.ca, if not the initial development of the site itself, including fulfillment of the sales process. The copy on bringithome.ca describing how the purchase of Bring It Home merchandise, including the WTFT, goes to supporting a small family-run business indicates that Polyev, through Galindo Polyev, personally benefits financially from the business relationship between his wife and the Conservative Party of Canada. And to the point of this letter, he personally benefits financially from the profits of the sale of the WTFT. It goes without saying that the CPC must also benefit from the profits realized through the online store. I assume that the breakdown for profit sharing is stipulated in the contract between the parties concerned, but we don't know about it because they're both private entities. The facts presented herein call into question the motivation behind Polyev's problematic behavior in the House of Commons on February 14th. Not only did Polyev flout the norms of conduct and acceptable language during question period, it appears he contrived and executed a stunt, part of a scheme intended to directly benefit himself and his wife, Galindo Polyev, and presumably the CPC. I would like to know what, if any, violations of the Canada Elections Act have occurred with respect to Polyev's use of government resources for partisan advantage. In addition, I would like to know if there has been a violation of the Conflict of Interest Act insofar as Polyev appears to have engaged deliberately in a scheme to financially benefit himself and the CPC. Of note, although the offenses I allege against Polyev are factually distinct, there is a passing similarity between Polyev's conduct now and his past conduct, for which Polyev undertook to perform remedial action as contracting party to July 4th, 2017 compliance agreement with the Commissioner of Canada Elections, during which his problem also had to do with clothes.
Yeah,
He wanted to wear a CPC branded polo, and even though everybody told him, maybe you shouldn't do that, says, I want to wear it anyway. And he did, which was a violation. And then he signed an agreement, a deferred prosecution agreement, technically, saying, hey, you know what? We won't drag your ass to court, which you're probably going to lose because there are pictures of you in the T-shirt making the announcement.
We have the evidence.
So, sign this little thing and promise you won't do this stuff again and we won't take you to court. Well, hello, WTFT.
Yeah.
In conclusion, it is my expectation that the concerns outlined in this letter will be noted by the Speaker. Going forward, it's my hope that the Speaker will deal more firmly and consequentially with Polyev when he next attempts to strain the limits of acceptable conduct in the House. Moreover, as indicated below, this letter is copied to the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner, to the Commissioner of Canada Elections, as well as to my local Member of Parliament. Good, very good. Well done. It is my expectation that both commissioners will review the facts presented herein and determine whether or not a formal investigation into Poilievre's conduct and Poilievre's financial interest is required. To that end, I will also submit this letter to the Commissioner of Canada Elections. Yes, through their online complaint form. Thank you for your time and attention to this matter. I look forward to a modest elevation of the decorum in the House of Commons during question period, and I hope that MPs, with encouragement from the Speaker, will make efforts to curb their enthusiasm for partisan cliques and for the sale of partisan Poilievre branded merch. Sincerely, sign the person. Now, here's one other interesting question. Does sale of merch count by Elections Canada as a political donation or as part of the political donation limit or not? Because if that's the case, what stops somebody from the United States to say, I want to buy 10,000 of those t-shirts at $35 each?
Yeah.
And what guarantee is it that they actually have to be produced and delivered?
Yeah, exactly. There's no guarantee of that. So it's all a big grift. It's all a big grift.
Gee.
And I hope this gets fully investigated and they get taken down for the scum criminals that they are, because this is criminal behavior.
Could you imagine if he was taken down by t-shirts?
Well, kind of like Al Capone, he got taken down by taxes. So wouldn't that be interesting? I have one final tidbit, and then we really got to go because I've got to get out of here. This little thing I'm going to post on the screen.
Juicy.
This is, I guess, was from yesterday, was it? Yeah, yesterday, 5:30 p.m. last night, from the Conservative Party of Canada. I'm going to give you the first part, then I'll follow up with the second. So the Conservative Party of Canada. Once a respected country among our peers, Canada is now the laughingstock of the G7 due to liberal deficits driving up inflation. Trudeau must go. Sign if you agree. And then they pull your data. You sign it, and then they have your data, and we'll send you nonstop emails asking for donations. Canada, highest household debt to disposable income ratio of any G7 country. Okay, yeah, sure, yeah, all right. Let's just back this up here. Let's go. You forgot this part of the report. According to Statistics Canada's report released Wednesday, Canadian households are the second wealthiest in the G7. Oopsie.
Oops.
With the U.S. snagging the top spot. However, the country's reliance on consumer spending as a key source of economic growth has contributed to greater debt burdens. Experts are calling housing a double-edged sword in the situation, adding that it is critical for wealth creation for middle-class households, but has also been leading to debt-asset imbalances. So they always give you just a part of the story. They never give you the whole thing because, they're duplicitous shit gibbons.
Yep. We have all this debt, yes, but we also have equity to cover it. And getting back to the t-shirts very quickly, Kitlinda M goes, unisex t-shirts. Yes, apparently the t-shirts are non-binary.
Oh my. Non-binary shirts. Somebody said earlier, can I go into a men's room if I'm wearing a unisex t-shirt from...
Mr. Grizzly, do we have a show?
We do indeed.
Ooh, juicy stuff. Kits and Cubs, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. We hope that you enjoyed listening to us because we love making this for you. Good morning, Madame Fox. Mwah. If you would like to help us out, remember sharing is caring, and word of mouth is priceless, and you have the mouths from which we want the words to come out. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. And if you would like to support us in other ways, like not wanting to miss an episode, well, you don't have to, thanks to the Ray Girl, because if you scan that QR code that's right beneath my chin, that will bring you to our pod page. That's podpage.com/TheTrueNorthEagerBeaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. If you subscribe to us there, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it slides directly into your box. Yes, I went there today. It's been a while since I made the box joke. Got to keep people on their toes. And if you'd like to support us in other ways, make like Kit Elaine and go to our True North Eager Beaver Media YouTube page, where you have 3 buttons and you can fondle them, tweak them, play with them, lick them, all of them. So click the lick button, click the subscribe button, and click the share button. Click just 2, click 1, click all 3. Hey, whatever you do on your own time, we don't judge. And that helps us out a lot. And if you would like to support us in another way, that QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head brings you to our coffee page where you will find the Emergency Hydration Fund. And thank you to those who put in a little something for hot chocolate for me yesterday. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Give me a little warm fuzzy. So you scan that, and that brings you to our coffee page. That's coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. And you make a little contribution. It's February 29th. We have a bonus day to boost our February numbers. So whatever you've got, if there's a little left over at the end of the month and you liked our product, please, we would very much appreciate a little support. We love to hear from you. Our email address is truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. Write us something if you need to contact us. And if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, stars and reviews are very much appreciated. Because democracy is something that you do, please, if you have an opportunity to support Camp for Kindness 2 in any way, shape, or form, I don't know if it's still going on today because the vote was yesterday, but I don't know if the protest is continuing. Please do. That would help. And the petition at hamiltonhelps.org, if you could sign that as well to get people to our government officials to open up the armory so that people can stay warm on cold days during the winter, that would be very much appreciated. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your Eager Beaver saying it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. And also in terms of democracy, something that you can do, like I said, write letters. We just showed you 2 of them today. Write letters. Got a bug in your ear, you're wondering if something's not right? Do a little research, write a letter. Ask people to ask questions or to dig into stuff. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom, please?
Yeah, simple. Call out Skippy for his flip-flopping with Ukraine. Write the letter. Send a dirty old used flip-flop. Let him know you're pissed off. Let him know that you don't like the fact that he's trying to play us for idiots.
Yep. Or flip-flopping on digital ID. By the way, he's going to be doing a lot of flip-flopping soon. Cirque du Soleil is going to become envious. All right, Mr. Grizzly, cue the rooster. You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.